what have been discussed by far or what have not been discussed by far will be addressed, and also additional questions, comments can be joined, can be put on the floor as well. And so we have with us for this last session of the day, Savas, the editor of our journal, Critical Stages, and Manabu from IATC Japan Center. So please, Savas and Manabu.
Okay, just when you have such a diversity of papers, of topics, and you try to find a kind of common denominator to bring all these papers together, is quite a challenge. However, a pleasing challenge. I will reflect on what I heard today from the standpoint of a critic. In other words, I will transfer the problematics of all cases presented within the field of theater criticism and just ask myself and ask us, how does theater criticism fit into all the concerns presented today? For example, one paper talks about closeness. I mean, the closeness between the dramaturge and the director. And the idea of closeness is a hot topic in theater as well. How close can a critic get to the theater production while it's in its process? Can a critic participate closely in the production process? Because this is a strong trend today in theater criticism, that critics, as opposed to older critics, can get involved in the production itself, either as dramaturgs or translators or advisors, and at the same time write a review of the product. How moral is this closeness? We will not call that immoral if it comes to dramaturge and director. But does that apply to a theater critic as well? As contemporary theater critics say that there is no room for them anymore in the theater market, so we cannot exclude them from making some extra money collaborating with various companies. That is a legitimate and an understandable argument. It's true. Newspapers have closed down. We never get paid. The last time I got money from my reviews was, when my newspaper closed down. So, what is the position of a critic today? And so that is one issue that sunk into my head listening to the paper that argued about the closeness between a dramaturge and a director. Another issue that sunk into my head had to do with we talk about transcultural productions, and I'm wondering, again, I shift that towards theater criticism, and I'm wondering how possible is trans criticism. And I'll give you an example. Recently I was on a jury somewhere, but in a culture that is totally different from my own culture. And the festival where where I participated as a jury member was called Experimental Festival. However, I was unable to pass judgment on any of the performances that I watched because I didn't have the evaluation criteria to place them somewhere. So I all of a sudden, I wondered whether this trans-criticism, in other words, crossing borders, critical borders, is so easy as many people think. Because you can easily, how can you as a critic go past your own borderlines of aesthetics, of politics, ideologies, in order to properly criticize the otherness of another cultural product? So these are questions that, I kept asking myself while listening to the papers. And finally, I say, in a multicultural, multi-religious, and so diversified cultures, what is the position of criticism? I guess this is more or less a question that I find while crossing through all the papers, the 5 papers, 6 papers that were presented today. And this is something that I will take home with me and work on that question. I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm simply sharing questions and concerns. Okay, I mean, this is my general, Manapu, kind of general wrap up in the question.
Thank you, Salvas. So it's me, Manabu, speaking again, and thank you for your patience. Yes, I really find the word trans, the prefix trans, as the title of this conference intriguing, because it is simply against the idea of criticism, because or etymologically, it's putting the good things and bad things apart. It's about seeing, it's about distinguishing, it's about differentiating something that is good and something that is bad. And criteria also comes from the same etymological origin. Crisis also comes from the same etymological origin. Crisis divides the two different times, past and future, if we are in the midst of the crisis. Okay, telling apart. Usually, good theater pieces try to cross over that divide. Gender divide, moral divide, divides in wealth, financial divides. And fundamentally, it's all about, you see, dividing the closure of subjectivity, or you have to open up yourself to become or pretend to be someone else. So theater is, and allow me to use the word by nature, theater is by nature transgressive, because what you see as Hamlet is not a real Hamlet. The murder that you see on stage is not real murder. So I'd like to, with your permission, I'd like to use this opportunity to have our undergraduate students in Thailand speak out about your own experiences in theater, either playing or watching. Experience of going over something or moving from one territory to a different territory and then usually back. We critics are often denounced by artists by arbitrarily deciding on what is good and what is bad. But in many cases, we find it most pleasurable when we can confidently say that this piece that we've just seen is new because it crosses the boundary. It has crossed the boundary and it has opened our views, opened what we think we are. Usually when we write unfavorable reviews, usually we are accused like this: who do you think you are? But this question can be interpreted in a more positive way. Who do you think I am? Who do I think I am? If the stage successfully poses that question, then the stage is successful. Of course, we know a bit more than you do about theater. Of course, we may have experienced a bit more stages than we do. And of course, we have not acted solely as theater critics. Many of us, I have worked as a stage interpreter, and I got paid. So, cases vary from one nation, one country to another. But I think this is a very good opportunity to just tap on the most fundamental question inside. How can theater be crossing the boundary? Have you experienced any stage? Have you seen any stage which crossed your own territory of who do you think you are? Any feedback from the undergraduates would be most welcome. Just talk about the stage that you like and how it impacted you. But I know I'm not leading the class, but I think as a good mediator, Bo would be the first to speak, the best one to speak first.
Well, the question is quite complicated. I mean, I think I'm sorry that I may need time for like consider the thing that I would like to answer or to like express. So may I pass to others first? Thank you.
Anyway, no, I was what I think we should think about is the position of theater within a changing society and what role is left for theater to play now when society is theater, society is a spectacle. We experience this post-truth phenomenon, and we have to reconsider the weapons, the ammunition that theater still has to resist. We've been really, we face this huge challenge as theater people, and instead of empowering theater, reality disempowers theater all the time. So we must go back to the basics of theater, basics of criticism, and reposition them all vis-a-vis what is going on today in a world that is turning so conservative, so extreme right, so fascist, and we must find ways for theater to resist and provide another discourse, and healthier discourse to regain its audiences. Because now what I find very, very difficult is how I see the difficulty theater has to communicate with young people. What I call, the natives of high technology culture. Theater communicates only with the immigrants of high technology culture or artificial intelligence culture. Anyone over 40 is an immigrant to high culture, high technology. So theater makes money out of these 40s, 50s plus people. People in their 20s and 30s do not go to theater, or theater is not appealing to them because it does not speak the same language. And I guess theater must revisit its basics and also understand its audiences. Who is out there? And start from there, from the natives of high technology, the natives, which means people who were born within the discourse of high technology. I ask people who are born within the discourse of television technology and the kind of early stages of computer technology. But theater now is exposed to a totally new generation. I call you, and I see that you're all in your 20s, I call you surprise-proof generation. That is, theater cannot surprise you easily because you've seen everything on you've seen everything on your computer. What theater has to offer to you when you are not easily surprised anymore? Your teacher does not surprise you anymore because your parents do not surprise you anymore because you've been exposed to internet culture. So theater must face the new challenges that you bring as surprise-proof. You know what is surprise-proof? That nothing touches you easily. And this is the major challenge for contemporary theater and theater criticism, to find ways to penetrate your imagination. That's how I think about it. That's what I tell my students who are your age. They are 20 and 21. Okay, I guess this is more or less my general feeling and the general challenge I think that theater is facing nowadays.
Thank you for your inspiring feedback, and I find it very illuminating. Yeah, we are becoming more and more surprise-proof. We don't get surprised often because we think that we can learn everything online, and especially with the emergence of AI. They can even write your term paper. But that means that we resign ourselves to the state where we are told what is correct and what is not. And of course, theater is supposed to go beyond that distinction. That's the basic meaning of trance. But also the trance in English is a prefix. Also means going through something. Through something. And so transverse means not only going over something, but also going through something. And through which? Through what? Through whom? Through us. And when that happens, theater, I think, can still surprise you and surprise us. And that is exactly the kind of question that what kind of theater or what theater? When was the last time that you think you were really surprised? Is a good question. Maybe it's not in theater. Maybe it's in manga. Maybe it's anime. Maybe it's films. Maybe it's through books, narrative or non-narrative. These are the kind of things that I would really like to know, not only from the established critics, but also from the young people, especially undergraduates. Have I made myself clear? Do you understand my question? Not really, or you are just too shy to speak out? When was the last moment when you were surprised? May I?
Hello. Speaking of the theater, as a theater student, I think I generally, what can I say? I generally have the taste of the theater community. I prefer theater more than other types of media, and I think the theater has its own speciality. I generally surprised of the expression of the emotions that goes directly from the stage to us, to audiences, and I think that moment is a surprise for me. Some show I I'm still too young, and I think myself hasn't exposed to much thing, but for me, I think that even if I don't like the show in general, maybe it's not my cup of tea, but the emotions, the passion that artists send is overflow the room. I think is the charm of the theater, and I still want to expose more. Yes, I can go back to myself and consider my feelings. I think I talk like the romanticism.
No. It's perfect. It was a perfect answer. It was a perfect answer. I mean, yes, theater. Well, I think I can share your criteria, because to me, a good theater is like a high wall, where it at the first glance, it seems to say, no, don't come near me, because it's too powerful. The wall is thick and high. But then it gradually helps you overcome that barrier. And the theater is the person-to-person, personal. form of art, type of art, which means that your mirror neuron, the part in your brain, which allows you to imitate other people's action. So, say some badminton player doing this, and then you can feel the sensation, muscular sensation in yourself. And scientifically, it is almost proven that that's the time when your brain works most. In other words, your brain is getting stimulated to the highest level. But the human emotions are very intimidating especially when they are expressed in facial expression and in bodily expression. Sometimes you see violence on stage too. It can be intimidating, don't you think? Yeah. We are seeing unnatural things on stage, and that's what theater is all about. Yeah. So I really appreciate your wonderful feedback. Yeah. Any more feedbacks? Yeah.
Okay, I get back here. I just try to think in lots of the dimensions. I would like to get back to the context of the theater creator, like last decades. Example, we last in kind of past few decades, we have been, I would like to call it as the ideology of invasion by big production or the musical theater. We just have actually there are so many schools teach and train a professional actor and actress and theoretical practitioner, and then but it still be really limited number. There was one phenomenon that we have, like one of the big production who start his entertainment industry in broadcasting. I mean the TV series and other kind of the maybe movie in some versions, and then from time to time he created musical theater. And once that the first time
what's his name? Sorry, what is his name?
Do we have to mention?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, so I mentioned because we know him in person. We call as they're well known as Rashadalai Theatre. And then back then, I as an observer in terms of the social phenomenon as well as like the in-house or out out of home critic. Lots of production mentioned about this point, and it makes people widely understand that theater or live performance are musical theater. So if you want to do like theater, or even in Thai language we call tham lakon, make theater, make drama or live performance, okay, it means you have to do musical theater. So back then it's kind of like misleading because of the big production redefine or even scope the definition of theater or even performance like that to drive maybe is unconsciously concerned, but it's drive like the understanding of the people to for this kind of the artistic creation become the commercial musical theater big production too. And when people say that okay, I want to do theater, okay, it will be okay, we have to have song, singing, and music like that. So that is the first thing. And then but actually however, from like there will be the decline of the popularity of this kind of the performance as well, because they may think that okay, I think like because we're human being, from time to time if we have to stay watching something, repeatedly in the same kind of like they change the story, but they play with the same beat, same tempo, and similar thing like that. Or even when we confront or encounter loss of the production, but the overall structure remains quite similar. So we have to know that we human beings are cursed to be creative. So that's why we get bored with that. And people try to like move forward to some other horizon of creativity. So that's why this is the thing that happened. And people need more niche, need more specific, or even theater going in variety. That like we have diversity of food to shopping in lots of the area, and I found now that there are that, and after that it will be the newcomer, the new face artists more, right? And again, even though they were and have been doing theater, they look so niche, but and even though it is still in small amount of doing this thing, but they have the fan base, and they can like how can we say do the touring internationally so easily rather than like the big one. So this is the thing that I observed, right. And if you have to do the theater, I mean the theater production, you may have to how can we say provide them lots of ground to attend, because like the duration or life is not quite long. I mean, but for the first week, people may not know about that, and they didn't like attend much. I mean, in terms of number of the audience. So that's why it's supposed to be few weeks or something like that. So this is like maybe one of the dimension of phenomenon that happened in Thailand. But more or less people keep doing this, and people in some groups of the people, they follow this the trend to be on their own, and they need to do more this kind of be in the artistic circle.
Thank you. So after some sort of market saturation, some people they are going back to different, even niche areas in which they can show things in new ways. Yeah, well, I think the situation is exactly the same in Japan. Well, musicals are the now most strong going area in Japan, and musical stars in both genders or in many genders, they are quite popular and get more and more exposure on television. Sometimes they visit high school students, and high school girls go, yeah, because every one of them know who they are and what they do. Usually the storyline is encouraging to the students. The storyline encourages, okay, just like let it go. You see, admit who you are, love yourself. Yeah. Don't listen to the bullshit that you hear from the elders. Just go after your own dreams. That's reassuring, perhaps. But at the same time, that's very conservative. At the same time, is it really about questioning or helping someone question their own values? Yeah. You are simply letting the thing you see to speak for yourself. And reassuring, yes, because you are listening to what you want to hear. And that's what is happening online, in my view, isn't it? Yeah. just a tiny tweak in the question on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT changes their answers completely 180 degrees. That's what happened to me. I experimented on ChatGPT. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the situation is exactly the same in Japan, and that's why I think it is vital for us to ask this question again: what is good theater? In the sense that it can cross the boundary. Thank you for your feedback. I find it very illuminating. Thank you. Any other views?
I just want to say actually the theater is very immersive, so it's impossible to replace. And I just take my experiments in Otan in 2018. River Lin invite Nephew Wayne go to the theater. At that time, actually, nobody knows the Nephew Wayne's product, production. And at that time, a little person. But I observed the audience in theater. The younger generation, actually, they are very satisfied. So that's why I say the immersive way actually important way. They just don't know how immersive how immersive the theater compared to other the ChatGPT or computer. They don't know. And I think is because now we are the professional critic, so we know usually we are very picky, we are very unsatisfied. So I think the more important is it's not about the test. It's more about to tell people to enter immersive theater first and try to learn to be unsatisfied. Yeah. So even if with the immersive way, even people don't they are not surprised, but they enjoy. Yeah. So surprise the surprise is not the most important part. Yeah. All the people need the immersive ways when you go to even the movie film. Some people sit nearby you. You will actually the feeling is totally different. You can feel the different, the delicate sound, delicate move, the temperature. But it's totally different experience from the Netflix when you sit alone to look at the TV. So we just need to find a way to make a young audience to get into the theater because it's immersive enough when you get in and you have if it affordable, don't worry about it. Yeah. Well, that's what I observe in the phenomena in Taiwan. Yeah. You can find the young people, even the very Boston's production, they still enjoy. It's a very interesting thing, especially for the younger generation, because I know now even the reading books now is a fashion. Yeah, it's fashion. It's the real things. Open the books and in the house because it's very immersive, different from the computer reading. Yeah, so just try to do more to combine all media together to make the new audience to learn. Oh, maybe it's a new kind of the theater production. Yeah, well, maybe Taiwan is that people try to mix all the indicator to attract the audience more. Yeah, because we don't know what they expect, but the audience also don't know what they meet. Yeah.
I think the problem is not to catch the audience, the youngsters to the theater. In my country, 80% of the audience is made of young men. But it's very simple for a director to attract them with lights, to emotions, to stir emotions in them, with light, with music, with atmosphere. We all know what are the elements. But what is more difficult, in my opinion, is to make them to think about, to give themselves time to think about you said about the right, the extreme right and the fashion, and all the serious things, all these serious things. And this is very difficult. How to give themselves time, or how to conduct them, to make them think about and digest all the information they got through emotion, through the stories and so on, because they have no time and they are used to pass very quickly on everything.
Again, interesting. So yes, theater can be really manipulative, and when it is most manipulative, it can be most powerful, especially on young brain. Yeah, and that is the greatest danger of theater. It can be the greatest danger of theater. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, and immersion is a very good word. We have had so many so-called immersive theater, and the most immersive theater piece for me was accomplished as Encounter. You get immersed in the soundscape of the Amazon, because first thing you're asked to do is to wear the headset, which is the quality headset, Sennheiser. And suddenly you get called by someone behind. You look back, there's no one there, because it's so-called binaural. So suddenly you are thrown into the Amazon. Yeah. And then in the next moment, you are in somebody else's study, where you get interrupted by your daughter. And that it was all acted only by one person, Simon McBurney, who also created and directed the play. Yeah, that was most immersive, but at the same time, it was trance in so many ways, because what you actually see happening on stage is so different from what you hear. And you are made to realize that the most transformative device is actually in your brain, the brain itself. That was the most trance sort of moment, because it's just like a New Romancer by Gibson. I mean, you with just one flip, and you are from this world and to that different world, to that world. Yeah. And in any other views, but yeah, immersion can be manipulative, and I think that's the kind of thing that you pointed out. If I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, but then, yeah, immersiveness can also serve as a good way to help people go across and go beyond the boundaries.
If I may add, I think one of the problems that we face here in Thailand is our educational system tries to put people into sections, into blocks, into boxes. So there's a box of painter, there's a box of sculptor artist, there's a box of photographer, there's a box of cinematographer, there's a box of drama students who are doing like translations and adaptations of Western plays. The drama students who are doing physical theater, the drama students who are doing traditional theater, and problem is, even though all these boxes are in the same cupboard, but they don't work together. That's the problem. It's one of the problems that I've been facing for many years, and I'm trying to solve. I think that's part of the reason why I suggested to Savita that we do this trans conference to see how we can make sure that our next generation of students are not stuck in boxes. That they are more open to possibilities that performing arts bring to us. I remember even 12 years ago we curated Southeast Asia Dance and Theater Festival, but because we are dramatic arts department, we have to title that festival as a theater festival, and that's why I have a separate program that's called World Performances, so that in this program we are doing more and more, and then I had an argument with my colleague all the time. They said that now we better stick to our Stanislavski. We better stick to our an actor studio, so that the students are not confused. But I'm the kind of professor who always confuse my students, because I think they are very smart. They are very smart. They are smarter than us. In my days when professor said something that I did not understand, I was afraid to ask any question. I had to wait until the end of the session. Then I went to the library to find out the answer. But nowadays they could just Google, or they could just use the ChatGPT and find out the answer. So we have to admit that, and they are already out of the boxes. So we cannot get them back into the box. Okay, I think that's also very important, and I think that's why sometimes a lot of people say that, okay, I'm only watching musical theater. I'm not watching plays. I'm not watching traditional theater. But they're all theater. They're all contemporary performance that are going on in our country, and what's the point? What's the point of separate one arm from the other? And then the problem from that is that when you are so separated from one another, sometimes when you when you are in the theater department and you are doing some dance theater work, you feel like you are crossing already. But for a lot of people, dance and theater are they're like twins, almost like twins, like non-identical twins. For these and then you can go dance and theater, performance art, and even visual arts, media arts. But a lot of people are doing all this, or even us, we are a critic, we are a scholar, and some of us are educator, writer, poet. We're doing many different things. Here and now. So we're crossing boundaries all the time. That's what I think. You want to add something?
No. I just want to add up that there may be some kind of the scar. I may use this word, is that some groups of Thai people, and mostly they are afraid to be wrong. or to be seen as wrong. So that's why when they have to go into other boundaries to make the blurry, maybe in postmodernist or not postmodernist sense, they may be risky to they feel insecure to explore things because something is that okay, we'll play with the boundaries and lots of the imagination and integrate it into the new horizon of creativity. They feel that they get lost, right? And then they sometimes they are afraid to be asked what is this, and if they cannot define it, and it may start from their family or some other kind of institutional fundamentals, it may okay they have to keep themselves secure by be in the box of something, right? So then when they can cross a little bit boundary, okay, they feel proud already, but they may not know they might not know that okay that it's supposed to be like integrate each other from the first, but they just kind of like they but because of kind of the how can we say the mindset or the attitude that they are afraid to be wrong or something like that. They didn't explore much. They cannot like be in some places that they push themselves to get lost and then they explore a thing with bravery and some other kind of thing and survive in there and learn, do the lesson learn. They may not be familiar with this thing according to lots of the institutional dimension or even like the platform or even the fundamentals that they are familiar with. I think it may be like the thing that I would like to add up to Ajahn. This is happening in my country.
Oh, really? I think that's why we need theater. I feel like there is a boundary between them and us. They don't want to say anything, maybe afraid of being wrong or what. But anyway, theater has the power to going somewhere else. Like, well, if we remind, I am reminded of Aristotle, catharsis. We are becoming different people, being cured from inside. So we have feeling of trance. And also, this morning, Jean-Pierre Han, he talked about transgression, right? And it reminds me of Negativity by Benjamin. The nature of art go beyond having transgression from what was before and what is after. So if you can feel some kind of just change, radical change in your mind or soul or feeling, then it will work. You can have the courage of live a different life than you used to have, right? And also, what I'm thinking, well, when I think about the performance where I got those strong feeling of being changed, it stays very, very long. And well, it can be sometimes from a very experimental performance, like De La Guardia from Argentina. It really shocked me. So when I got out of the hall, I felt all my feeling changed because they played from the ceiling, on the wall. When I get out, I felt I am on the wall instead of the bottom of the earth. So it really shocked me and it really provocated my feeling. Then it stays very, very long. I can see the world differently. Or also, just the day before yesterday, I had a performance, very realistic performance from very realistic writer like Cha Bum-seok, and it is just natural way. It had that old style performance, but what surprised me was the audience. It filled the huge hall, and many youngsters, including many youngsters, they were just emotionally they are very involved and they just applaud very strongly. It surprised me, and also I knew that performance very well. I read over and over. I already know the end. The heroine dies, but when she did that action, I had my tears. I don't know why. So, there's something. So I don't think it's just a matter of genre. If it's experimental or it's traditional. But the thing is, actors are very powerfully active. Maybe that's the reason, or the directing was very powerful, or mise-en-scène, or scenography. Anyway, the combination of all these really made some very strong impact to audience. So they changed, the spectacle changed the audience. So, well, the thing is, the trance as change whatever in the audience, then it works. So if you want to be changed, or if you want to dare to be wrong, or dare to be yourself, or different person, we need theater more and more so that we can have that challenge. And also what is interesting was, I never thought of this before, but while following, all the speeches this afternoon, suddenly I thinking about trance as a meaning of ecstasy. When there is shamanist ritual, at some point there is a moment of trance, becoming some supernatural, condition of a human being. So trance, is very powerful theme of the conference altogether, which can, expand to very, far away, and also which can be the essence of theater, I think.
Okay, I think it's time to stop here. I mean, it's been very. We have 5 more minutes. Oh, I thought it was 4:15. Oh, it's 4:30. I thought it was 4:15. So, any comments? Any comments? Questions?
Yes.
Counter questions? Counter comments? Yeah, time countdown. Look. Yeah, we have 16 minutes.
Hello. Can I add
Please, Vana,
an idea?
join us.
Okay, I was
Vana.
happy. Hi, I was happy to follow all these very interesting discussions, and I want to point an idea, because for me the theater is a space to negotiate intergenerational values in this frame of the conference of trance. And this is why I think from the stage comes to the audience some impulses to rethink the values of the present, because we have this young audience totally digitalized, shoulder by shoulder with the classical audience. So they have to negotiate continuously from the stage some how to deal with ideas, with technology, with how stage is offering us a translation from the reality to the imagination of these values of life. And I think this is why it's so important to go to theater and to be inside a live audience, because now following you, I was frustrated not being shoulder to shoulder with you. We are on a screen distance. So I think our colleague says that young audience has this fear of how to receive or how not to be in thought, understanding what is happening on stage. But I think this community of audience gives us the energy to understand and to position ourselves on what we see and what we think about what stage artists are transmitting to us. And yes, this immersive tendency is very valuable, and in the in what young generation is customized with. All of us are using headsets, and the sound is an important way of communication, which is very immersive and very, very imaginative. And I think this combination and the searches of directors and artists, how to integrate the technology in nowadays theater, is something very, very legitimate in terms of how to be in our time. And I think this transgenerational negotiating of values is something which is characteristic for any theater in any times. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Yes. Well, yeah, it's a community building, so to speak, through theater, through immersion in your world and in trance in your world with the CE ending, right? So, what I think Samuel Taylor called it the willing suspension of disbelief. Yeah. That what Simon McBurney called complicity. Yeah. You are together doing bad things like drinking beer before 1700 in this country, smoking in a no smoking campus. Yeah. And I enjoy every moment of it. So theater is a complicit act, an action. And I can sort of understand the generational gap. You see, you have expectations from your parents, your society, and we also have, in our generation, expectations from our institutions, but the toughest expectations are from your students, from people who are younger than you. Because you are supposed to, young people are supposed to go beyond us, transgressors. Yeah, and that's exactly the reason why I would like to have feedbacks from those undergraduate people. And well, I think we had a very good answer, one good answer. Any more views about good transgressive theater from you? Or, of course, we are open to the discussion is now open to the entire floor. So, Mincho, do you have anything?
Well, I think when you mentioned the fact that we were having the beer at a time that is not allowed by Thai law, but and also with the fact that we were smoking in a non-smoking campus, like supposedly, it reminded me of with the fact that performance or live performance of theater in this country is one of the least censored. Yeah, it is one of the least censored. Because first of all, you don't have to submit the script of your performance to the authority of the police, okay, unlike in many countries. Okay, and if you make sure that your performance is just in the limited space for a limited group of audience, you pretty much can do whatever you want. Yeah. And we had some cases that directors and playwrights were sentenced to jail time. But that was only because the performance was broadcast live on television, and it was on YouTube, and it went viral. I mean, had it stayed in the presence of the live audience only, then we'd be fine. Yeah. Unlike this conference, okay, that is broadcast like to many places around the world, and we have digital footprint already of what we have spoken here. So we can be in trouble. Unlike the live performance that is, I mean, many of them that are going on in this country. And I'm sure in many countries as well, in Eastern Europe, in communist time, you have performances in kind of like parties, and it's a performance, but whenever the police arrived, it turned into a party. And you got away with it. I mean, yeah, that's how I think how creative like theater people are, and we need to express, like always, right? We have something to say,
Yeah.
to a limited group of audience, like
Yes.
not to the mass.
Well, I understand, and that it's not that obvious that the same kind of thing is happening in Japan too. Well, there's a high school theatrical contest actually. So those stages, it was decided to broadcast those stages by high schoolers on the cable TV channel, on one cable TV channel. But one script, the script of one show apparently struck a bit offensive to some politicians. And suddenly the cable TV, who had promised to broadcast all the shows, started to say, do you think it is appropriate to broadcast it? And they asked the question to the school. And the school teachers asked the same questions to the students. And those students who don't want to get bad grades from their teachers, simply say, oh, if it's appropriate, yeah, just forget it. Yeah, some students are resentful. And the playwright of the script got really, really angry. And he got so angry that he made another show out of that incident. And he made it spoken by one character who is seriously considering getting out of the country, that is Japan. So censorship and pseudo-censorship can happen in many forms. And the most fearful form of censorship is not actually banning the script or giving out a decree that, oh no, it cannot be performed. But, well, you can perform it, but I wonder you'll be able to find the house. I wonder you will have enough audience to pay. Yeah, that is the way that has happened in so many countries. Yeah, so censorship, the most fearful censorship is an underhand censorship. Yeah. It's not official. It's never official. It's so panoptical. You are made, it is so internalized into your own mindset. Yeah. And it's something that is so difficult to transgress.
Self-censorship. Self-censorship. I think that's what's happening as well in Thailand, because of exactly what you just said.
There is always power structure involved in it. Self-censorship is a contradiction in terms, but it happens, and that's what censorship is all about. And strangely, once censorship is lifted, suddenly artists do not know what to say. It happened in some countries, actually. Yeah.
I don't think we have responded to Sava's first question, whether critics are allowed to work as a dramaturg and write their reviews on the same show that he worked as a dramaturg. That was your question, right? But I think nowadays critics everywhere work for free, almost. We are working for free. Nobody pays us. The only way that we have a critics work and get paid seems to be working as a dramaturg. In that case, he or she is paid. But I'm not advocating critics to become a dramaturg and write their reviews. But I think we should allow them to work as a dramaturg, but not to write his or her reviews about the show that he worked on. There should be a kind of clear line of demarcation between working as a critic and working as a dramaturg. So the IATC has a code of practice in which it says, this is very important ethical, the criteria. We say theater critics should make every effort to avoid situations that are or can be perceived to be conflicts of interest by refusing to review productions with which they are personally associated or by serving on juries with which they are personally associated. So I think this is a very clear definition of our job or ethics. You can work as a dramaturg, but you are not allowed to write reviews for the show that you work as a dramaturg. But still, you can review other shows with which you have no relation at all, I think. So I don't want to make critics even poorer by not allowing them to work as a dramaturg. Let them do that, but let them. We should not allow them to work as a dramaturg for each. I think there was a time that the Korean Theater Journal, which the Korean Association of Theater Critics published, was a theater review. One of my former students contributed her review of certain experimental show, and later I discovered that she worked as a dramaturg. That's the case. And I told her, don't do that anymore. It's not allowed. It's very unethical. She said yes. And so there is some controversy between my former student and me, but I don't think it's it's not a very complicated problem, but just we need to draw a line of demarcation between dramaturg and critic, I think.
A director invited me to write a book about his stage Julius Caesar, and I attended the rehearsals for 3 weeks and made interviews with him every day and interviews with all the actors, the set designer, and so on and so on. And it seemed to me completely unethical to write a review after, to judge the actors, to judge the director when I was there 10 hours a day for 3 weeks. Yes, it is unethical. I can publish an interview with him or a descriptive something, but not a proper review.
I guess 1631 legitimate ending of our session today. Thank you all, being very constructive, very attentive, and very fruitful contribution to this first day, and hopefully tomorrow when we wrap up again, we'll put everything together and come up with some general comments and no conclusions in theater, but general comments, and we move forward. Thank you all and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you. Okay, couple of announcements. Now we have about 2 hours and 45 minutes free. Okay, you have 2 hours and 45 minutes free. Okay, there are a few options. If you like to go back to the hotel, we can arrange for transport for you. But I have to warn you that the traffic will be very bad. Okay, and also we can lead you on foot. Yeah, that would be a better idea. Yes, or take a shuttle bus like to Times Square and then walk. That would save you like 5 minutes there. Back to the hotel as well. But please be back at the theater lobby by 7:15. Okay, to see me and Pai, the vice president of AICT Thailand, to get your tickets. I've been informed. I already sent information about the performance tonight to you. It's a collaboration between Japanese and Indonesian dancer. So it's contemporary dance, and it premiered at the Indonesian Dance Festival last November. Okay. We have tickets for you. We have tickets for your +1, +2, and it will be on the 6th floor. Yeah, so we meet exactly where you had lunch. Yes, that's the theater foyer. It's not a lunchroom, but we turn it into a lunchroom for you. Okay, so we meet there at by 7:15. Okay, by 7:15. Yes. 7:30. 7:30. And the performance. Okay, let's see. I have information as well. The performance is 50 minutes. It's only 50 minutes. Yeah, 50. Yeah, 50 minutes, and then a short 10-minute break, and then there will be a Q&A in English for 30 minutes.